for the level.
This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Broadcasting live from the Capital OTB studios, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Good morning and welcome to Racing Across America on this Sunday morning. Seth Merrow and Sully Karate. Good morning, Sully.
Good morning, Seth. How are you?
Very good. The countdown has begun. Churchill opened last night, just less than a week away from Derby Day, and we'll have some Derby conversation this morning. We'll catch up with Mike Welch, who covers all the workouts down at Churchill Downs leading into the Derby. Of course, Mike typically covers Florida racing, but in the summertime he's up at Saratoga, does a great Saratoga workout report. There's also a Kentucky Derby and Oaks workout report available via drf.com, but we'll get some of Mike's thoughts on the workouts over the past week of both Derby and Oaks runners. That'll come up a little bit later on. We'll also recap some of the stakes action yesterday. A little quiet as it is a lull week leading into the Derby, but we'll hit on a couple of stakes and talk just some Derby thoughts overall between ourselves as well, and then do a little handicapping towards the end of the program. So it should be a fun hour or hour plus, however it works out here on Racing Across America. As usual, we want to thank our friends at Woodbine for their sponsorship. Woodbine, pick, bet, and cheer on world-class horse racing north of the border. Also want to remind you, next Wednesday, Diamond Club Grill up in Saratoga, the Embassy Suites, just about a block off Broadway on Congress Street. The Derby Seminar, third year we've done it, and kicks off with a happy hour. And I tell you, they get a good crowd. It's a lot of fun. Swing on by if you're free on Wednesday night. The happy hour will kick off at about 5, and I guess about 6 o'clock or so, the Derby Seminar. As I say, it should be a lot of fun. That's Wednesday, May 2nd, Thursday, May 3rd, the annual Kentucky Derby Seminar here at the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. We'd love to see you here again. That's Thursday night at 7 o'clock. And speaking of the Derby and the Clubhouse Racebook, don't forget to reserve your seat or table. Always a lot of fun, always a good crowd down here, and it's more fun to watch the big race with a good crowd around you cheering for your horse or theirs, as it were. But you can reserve your seat or table for the Derby here at the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. So, you ready for the Derby?
Oh yeah, I'm. This week feels like I think it's going to take about a year to get to Saturday or even Friday, because I'm really excited for Friday as well. And our friend Roddy Valeni and Coach Rocks. So, I kind of want to get to Tuesday to see the post draws, and it can't be Saturday soon enough.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Always a big day, and it's shaping up to be a really nice Derby. We had some conversation yesterday with Steve Bick, who's been in Louisville doing the radio show for the past week, and talked with John White, who has his strike system, but he's also seen, being based out in Southern California, he's seen the Southern California Invaders. Both of those guys like Justify. I think Justify's up against it experience-wise. They both feel talent is going to overcome experience. I just think we've seen year after year that it's tough. Justify is clearly very talented, but you show up on that big day, mile and a quarter for the first time. None of them have seen 150,000 people. So I think the more experienced, the better off horses are. But it'll be fun. He's got the right trainer, certainly, to come into the Derby, given his lack of experience.
Absolutely. And, every time you got Bob Baffert, you have a shot, and as you know. So, and the one thing Justify might hurt him a little bit is the field size. He's only raced against 5 or 6 horses. Now he's going against 20, and other horses want to get to the lead. The first couple races in his career, he didn't really have to work that hard for the lead. He's going to have to work hard for the lead, and it all I think comes down to a post position. So I think if he gets a 1 or a 2, possibly a 3, he's going to be in a little bit of trouble. So a lot is playing against if depending on a post draw. But if Justify gets the lead, we know he can go that. I believe he can go that distance, especially with fast fractions, because his workouts, again, are just unbelievable.
And if he does do it, that then does show talent overcomes adversity, and all of a sudden, the Triple Crown talk will start about a minute after they cross the finish line. All right, we'll have some more Derby talk a little bit later on, but first we wanted to get to some stakes recaps. Again, just a couple, because there wasn't a whole lot of stakes action yesterday. Opening night at Churchill, we'll take a look at their stake, but a nice little stake on the first weekend at Belmont as well. Yesterday, it was the Elusive Quality, $125,000 for 4-year-olds and up, sprinting 7 furlongs on the grass, and Johnny Velasquez continues his really good 2018. Yeah. He goes to the lead with a blind ambition. 5-1. I couldn't pull the trigger here. I used Conquest Panthera on top. Conquest Panthera is the number 9 horse you see there closing on the outside. That was a pretty good race from Conquest Panthera, also at 5-1. Undrafted runs third. The favorite, the lukewarm 3-1 favorite, Commute, runs 6th in here. But again, John Velasquez gets out to the front, says, "Catch me if you can," and they can't.
Yeah, just watching that whole race, and this horse I think was 12 or 15-1 on the morning line, and I did have the horse in the mix, but I definitely didn't have the horse to win on top. And as soon as we saw the odds board, as soon as that race came up, the horse was down to 9-2. So someone must have been talking about him down in New York. But Todd and Johnny, that team, again, just proves why they are the go-to team in this industry, and it hand in hand, again, time and time again, they just get it done.
I just couldn't pull the trigger on him because the 2 races down at Gulfstream, but it seems like you look at the Belmont record, he had a good race there last October with pretty solid numbers compared to this bunch, and so I think he appreciated the return to New York.
Yeah, he absolutely did, and I thought he was going to get caught halfway through the stretch there because, as you said, Conquest Panthera was flying. I didn't have Conquest Panthera anywhere in my mix, but that horse always, time and time again, runs big in the Naira circuit, and it was a little attractive. Dylan Davis went on and didn't stay with Jacobson and Great Stuff, who he was on and won the toboggan with, so that's something to point out, and you were getting nice odds on that horse, almost 6-1.
Disappointment was Carafa, and Great Stuff. I had both of those horses in my mix, and they ran well. Great Stuff I had moving over to the dirt, actually. So you can make the argument that with the turf experiment, he wasn't that much, but certainly on a best effort, he was going to play. If he took to the turf, he didn't. So I guess you can make an argument either way there. But Carafa, the 9-year-old, in the seasonal debut, winds up 10th in the field of 10. So a little bit of a disappointment for the millionaire New York bred. I
had Carafa, I think, first. I believe I put the horse first in the stakes preview. So right out of the gate, the horse was already looking like he didn't want to run that day. But yeah, definitely a disappointment there with Carafa, especially because I think now he's 9 years old, and just made over $1 million. I thought fit in nicely there, but as soon as the bad break happened, the horse really had to work to get kind of an okay position. Kind of knew the horse was in trouble.
All right, opening day or opening night, as it were, as it was an evening card at Churchill yesterday, and they ran the William Walker, $100,000, 5 furlongs on the grass. And this was a nice field of turf sprinters in here, 3-year-old turf sprinters. These were all 3-year-olds. The favorite was Beckford at 3-2, and Beckford did get it done. The number 7 horse, Salmanazar, the number 1 horse, runs second. Masks runs third. Mask was interesting, a Bob Baffert horse coming in from a couple of nice races at Santa Anita, as was the Pletcher runner, Salmanazar, the number 1 horse who had some nice turf sprint experience. But Beckford, a nice closing kick, the number 7, comes to get Salmanazar, the Pletcher horse, just as they head to the wire. Again, this is a fun subdivision these days of these turf sprinters, and it looks like some good ones coming out of this. We'll watch where they go going forward, but it was the favorite, number 7, Beckford, getting it done. To me, the 2 I mentioned, the Pletcher horse and the Baffert horse, were maybe more intriguing, but Beckford had the European form. I guess that's what people jumped on, making the horse the favorite. 3-1 on the morning line, and I'm just looking, was it the morning line favorite? I guess it was the morning line favorite. Obviously, a 3-1 kind of lukewarm. The betting public liked it a lot more. But maybe what jumped out at people too, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf last year, closing fifth, but a closing fifth behind Mendelssohn, Untamed Domain, and I think maybe Mendelssohn jumps off there. You run a couple of lengths behind Mendelssohn, maybe that flatters you. But in the seasonal debut, I wasn't pulled in that direction so much, but boy, it looked pretty good. And the betting public nailed it.
Yeah, the betting public, obviously, yeah, they really did nail it. And really, just watching the replay, I watched it last night live, and I'm like, there's no way this horse catches Corey Lanerie on the lead and got him at the wire, which was nice to see. So if you're a My Boy Jack fan or a Combatant fan, hopefully you want that closing speed to keep happening going into the Derby week, because I can only think of one horse that really had good closing speed, and he was 50-1 winning the Kentucky Derby. So, and that was Mind That Bird. So if you really want My Boy Jack, a couple weeks ago we were talking about My Boy Jack and Combatants, and now with some closing speed, possibly Hofburg as well. Hopefully the track continues to close for you and the speed gets caught late.
Let's move on now to Friday, and it was closing day at Keeneland. Keeneland, good numbers. They had solid numbers, wagering, solid numbers in attendance. There was a rollback to the takeout. They increased that in the fall of 2017, and there was a little consternation about that among fans. They rolled it back. Handle was very good. On track and attendance were just shy of last year's spring meet totals, but boy, it started out with some bad weather, and so that they got very close was a tip of the cap to the fans that did show up this year, because again, the first week and a half or so, temperature-wise, certainly were not the springtime temperatures you tend to think of at Keeneland. It was interesting. The meet leaders, Ken Ramsey came into Thursday. The meet leading owner at that point was 4 ahead, and there you can see all the meet leaders, trainers, jockeys, and owner on the right-hand side. Florent Giraud was the leading jockey. But Ken Ramsey came into Thursday and Friday with 1 win. The leader at that point had 4 wins. I think Ken entered 10 horses over the last couple of days. Winds up getting 3 wins to tie. So it was a 3-way tie for the owners. Mark Dentemple, G. Watts Humphrey, and Ken and Sarah Ramsey. They each had 4 wins. As I say, a big surge. Ken likes to win. This was Ken's 20th Keeneland meet title. So clearly he was chasing to get up there. And in fact, he had a couple, after he had 4, he had a couple of starters to maybe be solo, but just couldn't get those across. So it's kind of fun watching that owner's title, knowing that Ken wants it so much. On the trainer side, Wesley Ward and Brad Cox tied with 13, but Chad Brown with 12 was right behind it. Chad Brown, I think he shot at about 50% at the meet. So he was just behind in second, but it was a phenomenal meet. And again, Florent Giraud, as you see on the right-hand side of the screen, led the jocks with 19 victories. Jose Ortiz ran second in there, running third and fourth. Corey Lanerie had a good meet. Joel Rosario was fourth. He had a good meet on the turf, Rosario did. And I'll toss in the guy who finished fifth. I mentioned it on the show yesterday. He's become, over the past, 5 months, a jock to watch. That Adam Beskitza, the kid with the fairgrounds this winter, and then a pretty good meet, to show up with these type of names and be in fifth, and a pretty close fifth, obviously with the short meet though. But to be in the mix, he's a jock to watch going forward. Yeah, and I'm happy you threw him into the mix, because he was off to such a good start at the fairgrounds meet coming in from Delta. He was on some huge prices at fairgrounds and just kept bringing them in. And he came in from Delta Downs, as I said, and he crushed it at Delta Downs. So made a huge impact at the fairgrounds, still was on some big price horses, and then people started to realize it, and then he was probably second or third choice, still winning. And now he was bringing some nice price horses home the whole time at Keeneland. So definitely a jockey to watch, and it's just really impressive seeing all the young kids keep winning these races at these big time meets, and they can go anywhere and run, as we just saw with Becheza, and going from Delta to Fairgrounds and then the Keeneland. So hopefully we can get some action in the NYRA circuit with him in the next couple of months and leading into Saratoga. Well, we're a couple days into Belmont, and the guy who's going to be fun to watch there is Luis Saez after the big Florida season he had. It's going to be fun to see what he can do in New York, Belmont, and up at Saratoga, because he was nuts down at Gulfstream this winter.
Yeah, he always is, and I believe he won. Did he win last year too?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Because he was on fire last year, and Paco Lopez was down there last winter too, and absolutely crushed it. So, and he did okay in the Irish circuit after that. So, hopefully Louis keeps it going because he's always on some nice price horses up in New York as well.
All right, let's move on and have a little Derby discussion amongst ourselves. And again, we hope to have Mike Welch join the conversation sometime before the end of the hour. We're waiting to hear back from him. Obviously, he's a workout guy, so he's bouncing around the backside. But I expect to plug him in and get some thoughts on the workouts that we've had over the past week. And pretty much all the major workouts have to be done by now, so we'll get some thoughts, as I say, from Mike. But some of our thoughts I thought we'd toss out there. Well, I pulled up a couple of replays. Again, we have the seminars coming up this week, and a couple of replays because there are horses in here that I think are going to be a lot of fun to watch. I think a lot of people will be looking at them in their mix, and so I wanted to give folks a little look at the races that will lead them into the Kentucky Derby. First up, wanted to take a look at the Florida Derby. Audible is the direction I'm going right now, but I also wanted folks to remember Hofburg, very lightly raced, runs a pretty good second in here. Florida Derby back on March 31st. The number 8 Audible gets it done as the 8-5 favorite. Hofburg for Bill Mott winds up running second in here. Mississippi third, Catholic Boy fourth. But Audible, a chart margin of 3 lengths. Again, I just wanted to show this one more time because my feeling over the past couple of weeks was, and I said overlooked is not the right word, but given that this race was on March 31st and we had a bunch of the final preps after this, I thought the horse may float to the 3rd or 4th or 5th choice. Again, after talking with John White yesterday, he was mentioning that a lot of folks he's talking to are also leaning towards Audible. We'll see. But John White's early line had him at 8-1. I like that 8-1. Hofburg, to me, is in the same camp as Justify. Only 3 starts. That was pretty good coming out of a maiden breaker and running second to Audible. So there's certainly some talent here. I'm not sure it's the same kind of talent as Justify. So if I'm shying away a little bit from Justify on the experience factor, then Hofburg's going to be a tough lift for me. But Audible, I think, is really interesting. As I say, that's the direction I'm leading now. And I expect there will be some value there. Because, again, if he is certainly 4th or 5th choice, which isn't on the question, that 8-1 seems very logical, or maybe a tick or 2 higher. So I think there's some value there for a horse who comes in off a 4-race win streak. The only loss was the career debut. And don't forget, this is New York bred. Nice New York bred.
Very nice New York bred. And out of all the Pletcher horses entering, I would think Audible has the best chance to win. And take advantage of these odds, because if you really like these horses, they will never be these big of odds again. So it's like Arrogant in the Travers. He went off 10-1 and then was never close to that again. And even the favorite, if Justify goes off as the favorite, he will be 3-1, maybe somewhere around there. He'll never be 3-1 again. So definitely take advantage of these prices and odds if you do like these horses, because it's going to be tough to see them anywhere else in a field without them being a favorite or a second choice.
All right, I also wanted to show the Wood Memorial, April 7th. We're going to see Vino Rosso, the number 9 horse, win. Number 5, Enticed, runs second. Number 2, Frenzy Fire, runs 4th in here. Vino Rosso, to me, is interesting because the Tampa races, I mean, he won at Tampa back in December and then was okay in the Sam Davis and a little dull in the Tampa Derby. But the win in December makes you think, well, he liked the Tampa surface, so that it can't be an excuse that he didn't like Tampa. I'm wondering if he didn't like Tampa and just overcame that with his talent, because he gets up to New York and he runs pretty good in the Wood Memorial. So I like him, but you saw Enticed run second. You have to remember he had trouble in that race, and he comes out of the big win in the Gotham. And again, some of the conversation yesterday was a lot of the times these horses, they have that loss right before the Derby. Just in general, folks are on a horse's bandwagon and the horse loses and all of a sudden they bail out. And that may be the case with Enticed. And with the trouble, that race is better than it looks, I think. And given what we saw in the Gotham and the fact that Enticed has a win at Churchill Downs, he's going to be in my mix as well. And I think we're looking at probably a pretty decent price on him.
Yeah, you'll definitely get a good price on Enticed. And the one question mark I would have with Enticed is, can the horse go 2 turns, and looked okay going 2 turns there. With the Gotham looked really good, but again, that is going to change a little bit with the Derby. And for the that 2-turn in the Wood, I thought it ran an okay race there, and it can only improve from that performance there. And sometimes these horses come in at some nice prices when they run 2nd or 3rd in the Wood Memorial, and we've seen that in the past. And I don't want to compare this horse to Honeyside at all, but I believe Honeyside was in the Wood Memorial, didn't win, and then went back to win we all know what he did in the Derby. So I definitely like that play with Entice into the mix, because he is going to be a phenomenal price. And Vino Rosso probably will be a nice price as well.
Yeah, I think Vino Rosso is going to be all right as well, and I like that. As I say, he might not have liked the Tampa surface, and he may just have overcome that with his talent, and it seems like that's possible given what we saw in the Wood Memorial. So of the Pletcher horses, I prefer Audible, but Vino Rosso, and I think odds-wise, you're going to get the better odds on Vino Rosso. So to me, the 2 coming out of the Wood, Audible, I have yet to kind of sit down because, again, we want to wait for post positions. But I have the seminar coming up on Wednesday night, so I'll have to have decisions made by them. But they're all in my mix in some fashion. And the thing is, again, with the 20-horse field, I think I'm going to get good odds on all of them. Because Justify is going to take a lot
Yeah.
action.
Bolt will take some action.
Bolt d'Oro, I'm interested to see what folks do with Good Magic. I haven't quite decided where he's going to be betting-wise, because given what he did last year, the seasonal debut wasn't much, but then followed up with a validation, I think, of what we saw last year. So I think he's going to take some attention too.
Yeah, I mean, he should take attention, and he is the 2-year-old champion out of a phenomenal barn with Chad Brown. And it always helps when Jose Ortiz wants to stay with Good Magic, and obviously had other opportunities, and Hofburg being one of them. He rode that horse extremely well for Bill Mott. So it always helps when you have your A guy who runs the horse the best to stay. But as of right now, I want to see post positions and where everyone lines up. I am personally not going to use Good Magic in my mix. The horse I liked out of that race, I liked Flame Away out of that race. He's going to be a very good price, and just hopefully doesn't go chase the speed again that, like he did last time. Set up the race perfectly for Good Magic. So I think he's going to be an okay price, and he's going to be right in the mix towards the front of the pack.
Yeah, I'm looking at the John White line, and again, he did this about a week ago. He has Justify the favorite at 3-1. He has 3 horses at 8-1 as co-third choices, Audible, Bolt d'Oro, and Good Magic. Vino Rosso he has at 15-1. Flame Away and Entice sitting at 20-1. So
that'd be nice.
It definitely there's going to be some value out there with talented horses, because my take looking at the leaderboard, I said this last week, the leaderboard as far as points, I think the top 12 in there are all legitimate. And then I think the next 8 would not be a shock to win. So I think no matter where you go, you can, at least loading in the gate, you'll think, I got a shot here. The horse that to me was probably going to be a toss was Gronkowski, and he's not going to make the starting gate. So I think everybody at this point, it becomes very, very interesting, and we'll see how it plays out. But did want to toss in the 3 Derby pools, and Pool 1 last November, Pool 2 in February, Pool 3 in March, and Pool 4 in April. And I just looked up, and because I always tout all others as kind of interesting, and so I sat down last night and really decided. I jumped in all others, Pool 2 and Pool 3. Pool 2 back in February, I got 5-2. Pool 3, I got 4-1 in March. And as you would expect, Pool 1 in November was the best as far as, if you jumped in at all others, how many horses you have in the starting gate. You'll have 13 horses in the starting gate if you jumped in all others in Pool 1. But you're only getting 6-5, because everybody knows in November that's going to fall apart a lot. Pretty good still in February. You got 5-2, and we have 3, 6, 9, 10 horses in the starting gate, and some pretty good ones too. Pool 2, all others included Justify, Flame Away, My Boy Jack, Promises Fulfilled, Noble Indy, Magnum Moon. So that's Pool 2, the February pool at 5-2. The March pool, not quite as good, only 4 horses. Now, you did get 4 to 1, and Enticed is in there. I kind of like that. Lone Sailor, Hofburg, and Frenzy Fire. So by the time you get to the March pool, it wasn't quite as good. And the April pool, which I thought about, because you got 17 to 1 on all others, but it was not a good bet. It turns out you'll have 2 horses in the starting gate, Vino Rosso and Frenzy Fire. So you're getting 17 to 1 on those 2. You're better off just betting them
Just
on
betting
Derby.
the win, exactly. And they're going to be better than 17 to 1. At least, not Vino Rosso will probably be a nice price, as you just said. He's sitting around 15 to 1 on a
Frenzy Fire will be about 50 to 1.
50 to 1. Frenzy Fire will be 50 to 1. So just bet those 2 to win on your own. Don't take the future
Yeah,
pool.
but keep that in mind, though, for next year. If you wanted to jump in the first pool, but you're going to get a short price, but the second pool at 5 to 2 to have 10, 11 horses in the field, that then allows you to maybe play around a little bit and not have to worry about covering those in particular, because they may include horses that you wouldn't add in the mix anyway, but you're backed up a little bit. All right, let's head to a break. When we come back, we will see if Mike Welch is available. If not, we'll save him for a little bit later, and we'll start our handicapping for Sunday afternoon. We'll be back right after this with more Racing Across America. Stay tuned.
Dirty windows? Don't do it yourself. Call Clean Image, your window cleaning professionals, and enhance the look of your business or home without the worry. Clean Image pledges nothing less than 100% customer satisfaction. It's guaranteed. Homes, offices, bed and breakfast, vacation homes, and more. Clean Image has cleaned them all. Carpet and floor cleaning, pressure washing, and janitorial services are also available. Call today, 446-1397. That's 446-1397. Online at clean-image.net.
And make better decisions, better choices, to know how to connect the dots. In horse racing, knowledge is a powerful tool, but not the only tool. Race results and replays, past performances and live streaming, wagering from all your digital devices. These too are important tools, and you'll find them all right here at Capital OTB. Capital OTB. Become a better horse player.
In a recent study of some of the top online wagering sites, Capital OTB won big in total player rewards, far surpassing some of the best-known wagering sites in America. While other rewards programs simply offer you points redeemable for gift cards, Capital OTB's rebates are paid to you in actual cash. Plus, Capital OTB gives you full and immediate access to your money. So if all you're getting now are points and gift cards, join Capital OTB Player Rewards today and get cash back. Visit CapitalOTBBet.com and sign up today.
This is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Welcome back to Racing Across America on this Sunday morning. Seth Merrow, Sully Crotty in the studio, and now happy to be joined by phone from Louisville. Mike Welch of the Daily Racing Forum said it earlier. Typically, he's down in Florida covering racing, but in the summertime up here in Saratoga, has the great Saratoga workout report that is available. And every Derby, he's down in Louisville covering the Derby workouts. There will be a Derby and Oaks workout report available as well. Mike, good morning.
Good morning, guys.
Happy to have you on board. Give us a little update. First, opening night at Churchill last night. What's the weather look like? And is there a long-range forecast?
You know what? I haven't looked that far ahead. I was shocked when I got up this morning. It was 39 degrees here this morning. But it was clear, and I just really haven't paid any attention because those guys are handicapped about as bad as we do. So no sense worrying about it now. I think a few days ago I heard that there was a chance of rain maybe on Oaks Day, but that was a few days ago.
All right. We'll keep up with that as we get closer. But again, you've been in town. What, a week and a half or so?
Full week. Got here last Sunday.
And
full week for the busy week.
Yeah,
the last few days.
I was going to say you've tweeted out and written some nice articles the folks can catch up with on drf.com. And so I wanted to touch on some of the workouts, and I went to the Kentucky Derby YouTube page and actually pulled up some video of some of the recent works, and I wanted you to talk a little bit about them. First up, have some Audible workout video here. Audible will be on the inside working out, I believe, with National Flag. And before the Florida Derby, there was some consternation among folks. He didn't seem to be working well, but it seems like perhaps Audible isn't a particularly good workhorse overall. But I think the Churchill works have been a little bit better. What were your impressions of Audible?
Well, I've seen him work 3 times now since the Florida Derby, twice down in Florida at Palm Beach Downs, and then this work here. And while, his works aren't the type that would wow you, they're certainly much improved coming out of the Florida Derby than they were going into the Florida Derby. And I take that as a positive sign. I think Todd does too. I don't know if it's maturity. I don't know if it's the horse kind of get a little wake-up call. But whatever it is, he definitely is working better now than he was before the big effort in the Florida Derby. So, you got to think that means a step forward, but we'll see.
And we're seeing him here come down the stretch, and again, he's on the inside, and so it's certainly a good report for guys like me. I like Audible, and so obviously taking to the track and working better than he did before the Florida Derby, and he put in a pretty big...
That's a pretty good horse he's working with. National Flag is coming off a Grade 2 or Grade 3 win. I think it was the Bayshore he won, so it's not like he's working with any slouch there.
And he showed a little zip as we just saw him come under the finish line, and they were kind of even, but as they got to the clubhouse turn, he kind of re-energized and kind of got a half a length ahead of National Flag.
Yeah, they both galloped out really well. I mean, they had the 2 best, and they weren't really about almost 6 furlong work. I mean, Javier did ask Audible to finish that last quarter, not all out, but he was urging them along there. So Todd, in much the manner you see Bob Baffert do before these big races, they get to the wire and then they go on another 1/8 or 1/4 mile purposely ridden a little bit on after the finish line. Not your typical gallop out, but I just thought it was a good effort. I mean, I had in easily the best last quarter of anybody, last quarter from the wire out of any of the Tots on Friday. So, I think he's coming into the race well. We'll see. If he's good enough, we'll see how it shapes up.
Want to touch on a couple other Todds. Vino Rosso, we're going to watch it work out. Vino Rosso will be on the outside. He is working with Outplay. Talk a little bit about this one. Obviously, the Wood Memorial looking for some redemption. I thought it was a pretty good performance. At the beginning of the show, we watched the replay of the Wood Memorial. Enticed with the trouble. I thought that was a good second from this one, but boy, it was a nice performance from Vino Rosso. Give us your impressions of his works down at Churchill.
Well, he's doing well. He's had one work here. All these Todd horses have just had one work here, and he had a work last week at Palm Beach Downs, which also came with Outplay. And Outplay is an older horse that's coming off a 9 or 10 length allowance win at Gulfstream Park, and is going to run in the Grade 2 Churchill Downs Sprint. So again, no slouch for a workmate. They went a little quick early, I think quicker than maybe Todd would have wanted, but finished up, and then you could see Johnny, again, asked him out pretty good, even a little more maybe than Audible was asked, and he responded. He showed good energy going out on the turn, and he had blinkers on this morning, and that's a little, on Friday morning, that was a little significant. He did not wear blinkers when he worked them the week before, so obviously Todd wanted to sharpen them up, and, he got a 47.5 and a big gallop out, so he's doing well too.
Yeah,
we works in a row. Watching
him pull away from the workmate on the gallop out right now. All right, one more Todd horse before we move on, and I'm just interested because this workout, you commented, and Magnum Moon, who is going to be on the inside of Murad, you commented, tried to get out a little bit. We've seen that in his races. What are your thoughts on the workout from Magnum Moon? And again, is this just kind of a bugaboo for him?
It could be, and I'm sure Todd put him on the inside just to make sure that he didn't get out too badly if he was looking to do that. And he was okay. He was good to the wire. I just thought going into the turn on the gallop out, just a little bit he was leading out, and, I don't know if he didn't have a horse outside him, maybe he would have gone further. But all in all, I thought the work was pretty good. I mean, he finished up well and had good energy going out, too. So, all the Todds had a good morning. Noble Indy a little later after the next break. And, it's a pretty good hand to have. I mean, you don't have the favorite, but you got, maybe the second, third, and fifth choices or whatever. I don't know how the betting's going to shake out, maybe third, fourth, and fifth choices. But, Todd's happy. They're all doing well here.
Yeah, he is coming in with a good hand. I'm hoping it starts with that third, fourth, and fifth choice, because I'm looking at Audible. I'm hoping maybe 8-1 or so for the Florida Derby winner.
Could slip off that high. We know Justified's going to be the favorite. I'm guessing Mendelssohn will be second choice. and then it's Bolt d'Oro, Audible, Vino Rosso, and Good Magic, I think, in any which order, from third choice to sixth. That's how I see it.
Yeah, and I just saw a tweet, your most recent tweet. You tweeted about Hofberg's work. If you could just talk about that work and how it looked overall.
You know, it was kind of a maintenance kind of half mile today. I thought he looked good. You know, he went outside his company today. Last week he worked him. I saw his first work back after the Florida Derby, and he outworked Good Samaritan. I thought it was terrific. That was now 3 works back. And then last week, watching the tape of his work, they tried to have him come inside another horse, and he either couldn't or wouldn't go by, and I thought that was a little problematic there. A drop-off on my ratings on those 2 works. Today, back good again. He's had a good week since he's been here. He's had showed high energy every single day in his gallops, and I thought the work today was fine. I mean, a good step forward from last week, an improvement for sure.
You mentioned Good Magic. We have some video of a gallop yesterday for Good Magic. How has he looked on the track? His main work was what, last week at Keeneland? So has he had an actual
No,
work?
Good Magic worked. Good Magic worked yesterday.
Oh, okay, okay.
Minute and 4/5, and he looked terrific and galloped out strong. Chad was really all smiles back at the barn afterwards. He really thinks he's got a big shot with this horse. He believes, and from watching him work, he is a good workhorse. He worked well. Even going into that disappointing Fountain of Youth race, he had some good works, and I think Todd's still scratching his head over that performance, but he came back with a big effort in the Bluegrass, and I think he's expecting him to run his best race yet. I mean, I'm not sure if that's going to be good enough to beat Justify or a couple of these others, but Chad is very bullish on Good Magic.
Yeah, and again, it's timing and aiming for the Derby and to get the big race in the Bluegrass off the disappointing seasonal debut. It may just work out that he's now primed for a big effort, and we're watching the workout here. Looks pretty good after the jock set him down. So obviously he's taken to the track. I'm curious, have you seen any workouts, because Churchill is kind of a quirky strip, have you seen any workouts that maybe are indicating anybody is not taking to the Churchill strip?
Yeah, not really here. I mean, yesterday's work by my boy Jack, I mean, it was purposely slow, but I mean, he just looked okay to me. So, nobody, maybe Promises Fulfilled a little disappointing. He worked fast, and but he switched to the wrong lead nearing the wire. He was on the week before. He drifted out badly coming into the stretch. He just doesn't seem the same to me as he was going into the Fountain of Youth. We had 3 straight B-plus works on him going into the Fountain of Youth. He won. And then since then he's come out and has not matched those works either before the Florida Derby or from what I've seen here so far as well.
Anybody on the flip side that has absolutely wowed you? I mean, you talk about good workouts from some of the ones we talked about this morning, but has there been anybody who stepped on the track where, really kind of eye-poppingly good?
Not workout-wise, not here. No, I can't say I found, I haven't seen a Barbara Rowe or a Rachel Alexandra or even an Animal Kingdom. Those works stood out those years. Not so much this year. We've had a lot of good works, very decent works, but, I watched Justify's last work on tape, and that was really good, but I don't even know if that wowed me. Maybe if I was there, I'd have been wowed by it, but I just haven't seen anybody in the same framework of the works of the horses I just mentioned in their final works going into the Derby. Not this year.
I'll ask you.
American Pharaohs, nothing like that.
I'll ask you also about another one that you tweeted out you saw on tape, because again we just watched the Wood Memorial, and with the trouble, I think Enticed performance in there was better than it looked, and he's got the win over the track, which I think is important, but he worked down in Florida, Kieran choosing to go that route, but you tweeted out you watched that one on tape. What were your impressions of Enticed?
Well, I saw one live and one in person, and if you want to bet Enticed, don't watch the tapes of his works, because you won't bet him. I mean, he really, you talk about Audible's not a good workhorse, Enticed maybe even a less of a workhorse. I was watching his last work going into the Wood. I was really surprised he ran that well. I hadn't seen that much of him this winter, so I guess that's just him. But even coming out of the Wood, his works are just very average. I mean, he's been struggling to beat maidens in the morning. So I don't know what to really say off of that, but obviously this horse saves his best for the afternoon.
Yeah, and there's some like that. There are morning glories, and then there's the flip side as well. Mike, before we let you go, we have to ask, because our friend Roddy Valente has Coach Rocks in the Oaks. And again, with Roddy being an Albany guy, it becomes kind of the hometown favorite for us. We're all excited up here for Friday afternoon in the Kentucky Oaks to see what she does. I know she's worked out a couple of times down there, and I think everybody's been impressed with what Coach Rocks have done. What are your thoughts on the Coach Rocks workouts?
Yeah, no, she's looked great. I mean, I saw her last work on tape, and it looked reminiscent of her final work before the Florida Derby, which we gave a huge grade to. And yesterday, more of a maintenance kind of work. 2 days ago, I guess it was, more of a maintenance kind of work. But she looks good. You know, I don't see any reason why she shouldn't repeat her last race. And if she can repeat her last race, I think she'll be very competitive in here. I don't think the two favorites have to win by any stretch of the imagination. So, again, you know, both these races, the post position draw is going to be important. The trips, obviously, will go a long way into deciding the winner. But I think right now Coach Rocks has got to be in the upper echelon. I actually did a seminar on Monday, and I had to make my pick then, and I picked Coach Rocks. So,
oh, nice.
You know, that could change after they draw the post on Monday, but we'll see.
Well, let me ask you then before you go, who was your Derby pick in the seminar?
Audible.
There you go. Okay, there we are. We're on the same boat then. But like you, I got to wait and see the post.
Subject to change, though.
Yeah, the post position.
If he draws post one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no
that
question
might,
about
that
it.
might change.
Mike, again, appreciate the visit. And again, we'll tout, when does the Derby Oaks workout report come out?
Hopefully the Oaks sometime late Wednesday or early Thursday, and the Derby hopefully sometime on Thursday. We do get a little break. There's a whole slew of us putting this report together, not only myself here, but I've got Donald Harris at Keeneland, Toby Terrell at Santa Anita, which, boy, do we need him this year. We need somebody there.
Yeah.
We got a good eye there with all the big horses staying on the West Coast. And then Dave Grenning's going to, weigh in a little bit from what he saw in New York before he got here. And he helped me a little bit this morning with the turf works, too, because we had 18 horses work on the turf in about 5 minutes or 8 minutes. So he pitched right in there and doing a great job. So, but because they draw on their races a day early, we have a little extra time to work on them. And so hopefully that's what we're shooting for, Wednesday sometime for the Oaks and Thursday sometime for the Derby. And
certainly everybody up here knows and appreciates the work you put into those workout reports. The Saratoga version, a good bonus to your handicapping toolbox, highly recommended. So keep your eyes open for the Derby and Oaks workout reports. Mike, again, appreciate your taking the time this morning. Know it's a busy week, but we appreciated your visit and wish you a lot of good luck going into the weekend.
Thank you. I want to emphasize, too, those Derby Oaks reports are not just on the Derby and Oaks. It's on the entire card both days.
Oh, very good.
You're not just getting two races.
Very good. So, yeah, and that's drf.com. Folks can find that. Mike, again, thanks a lot.
Okay, guys.
Mike Welch from the Daily Racing Forum. And, yeah, if you've never pulled up the workout reports, they're highly recommended because it can give you some insights. Doesn't necessarily point out positives or negatives in every race, but when you take a look, there will be some horses that maybe there's a negative where you're kind of going one way or the other, and okay, now I can make my decision with that horse. Or the same with a positive. It kind of can pull out and just clarify things. And as I say, it's a nice tool for the toolbox, so you can check that out, drf.com, later in the week. All right, let's head to a break. When we come back, why don't we do some handicapping for this afternoon?
All right.
Stay tuned.
This is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Sign up today for Capital OTB's handicapping series and plan your trip to Las Vegas.
In a recent study of some of the top online wagering sites, Capital OTB won big in total player rewards, far surpassing some of the best-known wagering sites in America. While other rewards programs simply offer you points redeemable for gift cards, Capital OTB's rebates are paid to you in actual cash. Plus, Capital OTB gives you full and immediate access to your money. So if all you're getting now are points and gift cards, join Capital OTB Player Rewards today and get cash back. Visit CapitalOTBBet.com and sign up today.
Funding your Capital OTB Bet account is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Easy Money. Clearly the fastest and easiest method of depositing funds into your account. Make deposits or withdrawals in just minutes. 2. Green Dot Money Pack. Gives you instant access to your funds. Green Dot Money Packs are available at thousands of retailers nationwide. And 3. MasterCard Visa. Simply click on the link from the funding page, enter your account information, and fund your account. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Whoops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
Welcome back to Racing Across America on this Sunday morning. Seth Merrow and Sully Crotty just had a visit from Mike Welch. He's been down at Churchill this past week looking at the workouts of Derby runners, Oaks runners, and beyond. Don't forget, anytime you miss part of or all of Racing Across America, a little bit later in the day, typically the YouTube channel puts up a replay. So if you missed the Welch interview, you can check it out there. Right now, we're going to jump in and do a little handicapping for this afternoon. We'll look at a little Woodbine and have a race at Belmont in the mix as well. Sully will start things off at Woodbine this afternoon. They're race number 7. Nice little maiden special weight event. These are 3-year-olds and up, going a quick 5 furlongs. Sully, your thoughts in the 7th at Woodbine?
Yeah, I think it's going to be tough to beat Colonel Canuck, but I'm going to try with Vaughn, a horse that's 0 for 11 lifetime, the most experience at the Woodbine track with 5 lifetime starts there, and really has been close. Went down to South Florida. I thought ran pretty competitive at some nice prices at the championship meet. Before going to South Florida, I thought the last 2 races at Woodbine, sprinting with a little bit of closing effort there and some nice maiden special weights, really does stand out a little bit on paper. The connections, you know, I think just they want to stay at Woodbine. They tried a little bit at Gulfstream Park to break the maiden. That would have been nice to come back to Woodbine, a track they're familiar with, and enter in a little bit of more of an allowance race area, but this horse easily could break the maiden. I like the outside stall as well. Hopefully it shows a little bit of a closing kick like it did before it went down to South Florida. Number 6 is Colonel Canuck, 2-1. Patrick Husband's aboard. He's on fire so far in the early stages of this meet. Same with the trainer Robert Tiller. He's already has a win in 5 starts. He's running the money 3 times. Horse has been working lights out as well. Mark Cassidy's raced this horse, I'm sorry. He's as well is on fire. Picked up another winner yesterday. This horse has been working lights out. With Patrick Husband's aboard, you like to see that. This horse is probably going to try to get to the lead. If not, definitely more of a stalking role as well, based off these works. And then number 4, I'm taking a shot here with Scat, Saren Scat. Just off the trainer numbers on the synthetic. They're 50%. They've won 1 out of 2. And the ROI is over $64, so let's take a little bit of a shot here on a 2-year layoff. We haven't seen this horse since November 2015, and really, I thought has been working okay on and off works, an okay work in between those 2 iffy works. So let's take a shot here, 20-1 underneath, and I threw number 5 in the mix as well. These works as well really do stand out. This horse should probably get to the lead. Hopefully, can wire the field at a nice price. So I went 8, 6, 4, and 5. In race number 7 at Woodbine. Moving on, Seth's going to look at race number 4 at Woodbine. That is a maiden claimer, and they will be going at 6 furlongs.
I'll have to see if we can believe the morning line, or let's put it this way, if the morning line plays out this afternoon. But the morning line odds on the 4 I have all mean that this race is one where I may play around little exacta boxes or whatnot. In the 4th at Woodbine, I went 1, 5, 6, and 3. 1, Chantel's Chance, morning line favorite at 3-1, I believe. So that's the shortest price. We're getting 3-1 on this horse with improving numbers to end this season last year. Only 3 lifetime starts. First couple were against maiden specials, and then dropped to this maiden 20 level in the last start of the season. Decent little fourth in there after having led for most of the way, but seems to indicate the 20,000 claiming level is the comfort zone. The question mark, and I've talked about this during OTB Live the past couple of afternoons, question mark is the fitness coming off a layoff. A lot of these horses, and it'll be this way for another 3 weeks or so, a lot of horses are making their first start since the end of last season at Woodbine, and it's a little bit of a dartboard kind of a thing. Saw some of those situations yesterday where there would be 2 horses who were similar at the end of last season and now are coming back, off a 4-month layoff, and one runs great and one is in the back of the pack, and you just don't really know unless the workouts kind of jump out at you. There are a couple okay workouts underneath for Chantel's Chance, but given what we saw last year, we'll put that one on top. Iceberg Alley in the second spot hasn't been seen since last September, but was facing maiden specials then. Maybe this horse comes back with some added maturity. Nice steady string of workouts underneath, and a couple of them are okay. Adds the blinker, so at 8-1, I thought that was a potential player. Inside Man, the number 6 horse. By alternation, I found this one maybe a little bit interesting at a price 5-1. I'm not going to be shocked. I won't be shocked either way, but I'm hoping we get a couple ticks up. Now, on the maiden special weight to maiden claiming move, maybe we go in the other direction. But boy, the career debut was not much. Got off slowly that day, though. I think there's a little bit of breeding. We'll see. Inside Man, at the 5-1, I'm happy. It may move either way. We'll see how it plays out. But the horse with the odds that I thought was most interesting was the number 3, Like Your Excuse, who last time showed some speed before fading. That was against maiden specials. Maybe this horse has some speed this afternoon. Now, hasn't shown it in the morning and hasn't been seen since last October, and also was at Fort Erie. Opening weekend at Woodbine, when I was handicapping in the afternoon on television, there were a couple of these Fort Erie horses who I just passed on, thinking class-wise they'd be up against it, not to mention fitness off the layoff. Well, a couple of them did okay last weekend. So Like Your Excuse, 12-1 on the morning line, having shown a little speed against maiden specials in the last race. Let's see if this one comes back and has a little speed this afternoon, and at a 12-1 price, kind of has the potential to get in the hunt and make things interesting. We'll see. Again, I'm going to take a closer look as we get closer to post time, but on the morning line odds, maybe a race to play around with a little bit. I have it in the Woodbine 4th, 1, 5, 6, and 3. 8th race at Woodbine today. Both Sully and I will take a look at the stakes action for state bred 3-year-old fillies in the Fury. $125,000 up for grabs. They'll travel 7 furlongs. Again, I think this is a nice little field of 3-year-old filly sprinters up at Woodbine. Sully, your thoughts in the 8th?
Yeah, it really is a tough field here. I went 5, 6, 1, and 2. Number 5, it's going to be interesting to see who gets the favoritism between the 1 and the 5. But number 5 is Summer Sunday. 2-1 on the morning line for a horse that left Woodbine to go to the very competitive Keeneland race. Lost to a really nice horse in Gas Station Sushi in a Grade 3 event there. Comes back to Woodbine, where the horse really has not run since August, and then jumped into a really competitive Keeneland race. So I'm going to give a little bit more of a lean to this horse, because this horse really did look impressive before going to Kentucky. The horse did win 3 in a row, 1 by 5 and then 1 by 4 in August in a stakes race. So this horse does have experience here. 3 for 3 over the Woodbine surface. It's going to have its hands full today, and going to the 7 furlongs may be a little bit of an issue, especially if it runs like it did at the 5.5, barely winning. But I personally think the stretch out will help this horse. So hopefully we'll float up a little bit in the odds boards. And number 6 is Queen's Fate. Alan Garcia is aboard for Michael Maker. This horse comes back to Woodbine after going to South Florida. 2 starts back. Really didn't belong in that race, I thought. But before I went to South Florida, raced at Woodbine December 3rd. Lost at the wire in another stakes race by a nose at a nice price. And before that, won at Keeneland. Broke the maiden at Keeneland. That was on the grass at a very nice price with Julian Leparoux. Ran huge for a first start, I thought ran huge at a very competitive Kentucky Downs race and a very competitive maiden special weight, 126,000. So this horse with a nice little closing kick could be interesting late in this race to grab second at a nice price. And then number 1 and number 2 I threw underneath. I'll start with number 1, probably going to be the favorite for Josie Carroll. Contreras is just on a different level right now up in Canada. He's raced 16 times going into Saturday, and he's running the money 9 times in 16 starts with 5 wins. This horse lost by a nose last time as the favorite at Woodbine in a stakes race. Has been working extremely well earlier on. The last work was okay as well. And then the first time started from Mark Casse is a little interesting. Mark enters these horses in these situations at Woodbine and does extremely well first time out in stakes races. So I'm going to throw this horse in the mix. I might be kicking myself not putting the horse a little bit higher. The last work was phenomenal. 4 out of 108. That was posted on April 21st at Woodbine, and a couple bullets as well mixing here. And Mark Casse, he does a great job up at Woodbine. He has a phenomenal setup up there as well. We saw that when we went up for the Woodbine Mile, and a nice $300,000 purchase out of Malibu Moon. So I might be kicking myself. I don't have this horse first or second, first time started out of the Casse barn, but we'll have its hands full in this nice 6-horse field in race number 8. I went 5, 6, 1, and 2.
I will not be kicking myself because I put the Casse first on top. I went 2, 1, 5, and 4. I just thought they paid $300,000. They had a nice steady string of works down at their Ocala base with this horse, and as you say, since arriving at Woodbine that April 21st, worked 59 and change, 4th best of 108, kind of jumps out by Malibu Moon. So there's the breeding here, and that they, choose a stakes race as opposed to a maiden race to start the career, because clearly it's a horse with some talent. But this is a state-bred stakes race. So I think they're finding some good competition. I think they're finding some suitable competition for this one to make a career debut. Buyer-wise, and I'm a buyer guy, what the lifetime best buyer in here is 74, and that's a little bit of an aberration. I would think mid-60s is more what this field is capable of. And as I said, I think it's a nice competitive field overall, but Love to the Moon and back. If this horse has talent and shoots in the mid-70s buyer-wise in the career debut, which isn't like a eye-popping kind of debut, I think the horse wins pretty easily. 8-1 on the morning line. I'll be interested to see, given the scenario, where the bettors go with this horse. I think we come down at least a couple of clicks and maybe more, but I'll put Love You to the Moon and back on top, just on the whole scenario of Casse, $300,000. They decided debut here. Avies Mineshaft in the second spot. Josie Carroll, runner, certainly ran well here at Woodbine last season. Finished in a kind of a similar stake, albeit a mile and 16th as compared to 7 furlongs today, but finished a close-up second to wind up the season in that Princess Elizabeth. The question mark, again, will be fitness, but Josie Carroll does pretty well off layoffs like this. As you say, Luis Contreras on board, who's off to a very good start. He should be. He better be, because another week or so, Mr. Da Silva comes back, Eurico Da Silva back on board, and then it's going to be a horse race between those two for the remainder of the season. So Contreras needs to take advantage of the little head start while Da Silva's on the bench with the suspension. Summer Sunday in the third spot. I just thought this horse, like Sully, ran pretty well at Woodbine last year, and I'm going to draw a line through the try down at Keeneland last time. I like it. I like the confidence, but this is a much, much softer group this afternoon. At Woodbine in the 8th race, the Fury, I have a 2, 1, 5, and 4. 9th race at Woodbine is a $23,500 to $25,000 claimer. 5 furlongs the trip. Sully, your thoughts on race 9 at Woodbine?
Yeah, I've changed it up from the one sheet from the last night. I went 2, 6, 3, and 4 here. I went with number 2 on top. 3-1 on the morning line. Luis Contreras is up. And this horse, first off the trainer change, I think will be okay. It really has been working exceptionally well since the last start in December. Horse did win 2 starts back, jumped up to a really tough allowance race, went off 99-1, 103 on the page. So this horse seems to like the synthetic and the Woodbine course. All 4 lifetime wins have been here at Woodbine, and is running the money 9 times in 15 starts. So I think the horse off the layoff will be extremely competitive. especially based off these works, you're getting a very nice price in the number 2 horse. Number 6 in the second spot. Going to take a shot here, 12-1 with Alan Garcia. A horse that I think if it runs like it did 2 starts back in that claiming race, could really upset this field from the outside stall. Jumped up a little bit in class last time out in December. And really was just overmatched. But before those races, was fitting in nice in these claiming level races and running first and seconds at some really nice prices at Woodbine. So this horse may be a little bit sneaky on the odds board with Alan Garcia, who really can bring this horse late in some slow and fast fractions, which we have seen throughout the career up in Canada. And then number 3, I think you're getting the best value here with the number 3 horse with Patrick Husbands up. This horse lost to number 2, my top choice, by half a length as the favorite. And now you're getting 7-2. You're getting a very nice price here. That was 2 starts back. Again, really, I took a little bit more money last time out than with the favoritism. Really didn't do any running there. I'm willing to give a pass there. So this horse, I think, is really sneaky at 7-2. I think you're getting the best value here. And definitely underneath, this horse has run 9 times in second in 29 starts. So definitely a horse I would use underneath. And it's going to get, as I said, really nice price here. In race number 9, the number 3 horse with Patrick Husbands. The one work posted on April 14th, a 1 out of 57. That was a nice bullet work. And then the last one posted, not really too much competition there. Was 1 out of 2, but in between those 2 was a really nice work. 2 out of 73, 47-4 furlong. So this horse, I think, is going to get to the lead, and if no one runs with the Patrick Husbands, great up at Canada, wiring field. So in Woodbine's 9th race, I went 2, 6, 3, and 4. Seth, we'll take a look at the highlight on Belmont's card here, race number 8 at Belmont. It is the license fee. This is for fillies and mares, and they're going 6 furlongs on the turf.
Just before I get to that, I do want to alert you, watch race 3 at Belmont today, the return of Caledonia Road, last year's 2-year-old filly champion, filly Eclipse winner. She won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile filly. The seasonal debut delayed a little bit by a virus. As I understand, pretty much stayed in training, but it was just enough to keep her away from getting her seasonal debut. It makes it in the 3rd race at Belmont Park today, Caledonia Road. Keep your eyes open for that. But the feature is the license fee, race number 8. It's on the turf. I have it 1, 5, 2, and 3. Stormy Victoria. It's just logical in here for Christophe Clement. Certainly likes the Belmont Strip with 3 wins, a 2nd and a 3rd, and 5 starts. The January 27th South Beach down at Gulfstream. Boy, what a closing kick to win there with a solid buyer number. Then the Honey Fox, it was a little bit of a dud. But I like to cut back to the 6 furlong trip. She's run well at this distance on the grass before. I'm going to draw a line through that Honey Fox. It was okay. It wasn't a terrible effort, but it was a little bit dull as compared to the races just prior to that. But I think the return to New York, cut back in distance. I think we'll rebound this afternoon. Stormy Victoria on top. 2nd slot, we'll go with Always Thinking. At 6-1, this horse is interesting to me. Steady string of stakes races, the last couple down at Gulfstream. Before that, Aqueduct in November, Keeneland in October. Finishing positions aren't anything to write home about, but I think the numbers this horse has fired and is capable of firing fit in pretty well with this bunch. Gets Luis Saez on board as well. It's Tom Albatrani Godolphin. I think Always Thinking at a little bit of value has the ability to sneak into this mix. And Jennifer Lynette in the 3rd spot. Again, one of those where the last race I'm going to kind of draw a line through. It was okay. 5.5 turf sprint at Keeneland just a couple of weeks back. But I think the 2 races so far this year, I think, have this horse set up to run a better number, primed to get to a good effort. And I think if we do get to a good effort from Mark Cassidy and Javier Castellano, this horse, again, fits in with this bunch. Should be a fun race. A field of 8 scheduled, and I think very competitive. But in the license fee, I went 1, 5, 2, and 3. I do also want to alert people, Sully, before we wrap up. Edgar Prado, who is, according to the article, June, he will have his 51st birthday. Edgar Prado is now 4 wins away from 7,000 wins, which puts him in incredibly rarefied air. I looked up the list. He will be only the 8th jockey to hit 7,000 wins. Here are the other 7. Russell Bays, Lafitte Pinkai, Willie Shoemaker, Pat Day, David Gall, Chris McCarron, and Angel Cordero. David Gall is the only name that may be unfamiliar to people. He raced at some of the smaller tracks in the 70s and 80s. In 79 and 81, he was the leading rider in the U.S. as far as wins. So he was a win machine at some of the smaller tracks. But the other ones, Bays, Pinkai, Shoemaker, Day, McCarron, and Cordero. Sometime over the next week and a half, Edgar Prado will join that group. He has 6 today at Laurel. He has 1 tomorrow at Parks, 3 on Tuesday at Parks, and then on Thursday back at Laurel, he's got a couple. So over the next, 4 days or so, he'll have 12 shots at getting those 4 wins. As I say, it's hard to say how long it'll take, but it won't be more than a couple weeks. Although a lot of times these jockeys get the milestones, and the family comes to the track every day, and it takes them a while to grind it out. But certainly rooting for Edgar Prado. I mean, a guy who's been talented. He spent a lot of time here in New York. Nice guy as well.
Yeah, that is an unbelievable stat.
7,000.
I mean, growing up, for me at the track, Edgar Prado was the guy.
Yeah.
He was the go-to guy. So that really is an awesome accomplishment for him there. And it'd be great if he gets it done before the big weekend at Churchill Downs, and maybe he'll get recognized down there.
Also, probably better if he gets it done. Like I say, he's got some races at Parks, and I'm sure they'll have plenty of festivities planned just in case at Parks. But he's based in Maryland now. It's always fun if you can do it kind of at your home track. So we'll see how it works out. Again, keep your eyes on Edgar Prado over the next few days. 4 wins away from the 7,000 milestone. All right, don't forget Derby Seminar on Wednesday, May 2nd, Diamond Club Grill up in Saratoga. We want to see you there. The happy hour will kick off at about 5 o'clock. Congress Street, Diamond Club Grill in the Embassy Suites, just about a block off Broadway. Happy hour at about 5, and we'll start the seminar maybe an hour later or so. It's always fun. They really get a good crowd, and trainer Jim Bond will be there for a meet and greet. Brian Etto and myself at the seminar. Wednesday, May 2nd, Diamond Club Grill. The next night, Thursday, May 3rd, the annual seminar here at the Clubhouse Racebook. Brian Etto and I will be here at about 7 o'clock to go through the Derby field and much, much more. Always get a good crowd here as well. Come and join us. It should be a lot of fun. Thursday at 7 o'clock, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. The same location where you can get your seat or table for the Kentucky Derby. Don't forget, make a reservation, come down and enjoy the crowd and the buzz on Derby Day. It will be a lot of fun. Saturday, May 5th, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. Reserve your seat or table today. Bet 50, Get 50 continues for April for a couple more days. You have before the end of the month to sign up, bet your 50 in, get $50 free money put into your account. More information at the website. And I guess that's it. Anything else I should tout?
I think you got it.
You sitting in the marketing department most days, you would know better than I, but I'm thinking we've gone over pretty much the big events. The big event, of course, is Friday and Saturday. Looking forward to it. And, of course, you and Sully will be back in on Wednesday with some OTB Live, and you and Mike will be back in with some OTB Live. And I'm sure there'll be some Derby conversation that day as well. And you'll talk Derby and Oaks with your stakes previews this week.
Absolutely.
Also.
Those are the 2 big races in the stakes preview. We're going to do it a little bit differently. We're going to do it through the TV and try to do some cut-ins on all the horses we're talking about so you can visualize it. So we're just doing the Derby and the Oaks this week for the stakes preview. So it's 34 horses, so it's gonna be nice. So definitely catch that this weekend.
Yeah, no question. It's a big week. Looking forward to it. All right, I'm going to wrap things up. Don't forget, less than a couple hours, I'll be back with OTB Live, taking a look at some of the action for this afternoon. Sully, thanks for stopping by, as always, and good luck this afternoon with your picks.
Yeah, good luck to you.
And good luck to all of you. Again, wrapping things up for Racing Across America. Thanks to our friends at Woodbine for their sponsorship. Woodbine, pick, bet, and cheer on world-class horse racing north of the border. Thanks to you for tuning in. See you in a couple hours. Stay tuned.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.